Welcome back, everyone. We're here today on our Friday review. Excited to be here with you, of course, to end the week in style. So what we're going to be doing is going over all sorts of updates from over the past week or so, and I've got a lot for you. Talk about what's going on over at Equal Life that you'll be sure you don't want to miss this week. I'll be going over a podcast recap in case you missed any of the shows over the past 4 or 5 days. And then, of course, I'll be bringing you a big product review this week. This week is going to be actually the surprisingly an impressive performance of the new Apple Watch. So I'll be talking about that in terms of biometric and biohacking. I'll also be going over my book review of the week and then bringing you 2 research studies, one on genetic tests that you want to be very careful of so you don't get your information sold to companies that you don't want it to. And the last one will be on smoked meats and smoked fish and some surprising new data. So I want to bring you all of that here today. Excited to go through the show. Always love starting with the updates. And although I talked about it on social media, and if you don't follow along over at Stephen Cabral, just on Instagram, it's just, again, my name, Stephen with a PH. I'd love you to follow along. It would be, again, a fun side. I get to show a fun side of my life in the background and a lot of the stories. And of course, you can get updates for all the different shows happening each and every day. But one thing that I've been sharing a lot of is really, it's just been over the last couple of weeks, is being able to go to some live events. Now, keep in mind, I'm someone that used to speak at a live event every month, except the time I took off for family, which were basically the summer months and then the holiday months, November, December. But even early November, I always travel, and it'll be the same this year. But for, let's say, 8 months to 9 months a year, I would travel once to twice a month for 2 to 3 days at a time. I never travel for more than 3 days without my family. It's just kind of a commitment that I've made for myself. And even this last event, it was 4 days, and I knocked it down to 3 days. So you do certain things, you make certain compromises in life, but I'll tell you this, it was 15 months since I was at a live event. And the last live event I did was in Australia, which was absolutely amazing. Sydney, Australia. I'd never been to Australia before. So that was a dream come true, being able to visit the great country of Australia and meet all sorts of our IHPs. So that was a fantastic 2-day event. And I got to spend, of course, a lot of time in Australia before the pandemic hit. And then we came back to the US early because we had to get back. So since March of 2020, I hadn't traveled. And then 2 events fortuitously came about that I was invited to, not even to speak. One, yes, I was invited to share ideas and all sorts of different things, which I was happy to do. But it was really amazing, the energy of being able to get back, speak with colleagues of mine, friends of mine, meet new people. And I'll tell you, again, as I said this before, I said it on Instagram, said it on social media, it's not the right time still for everyone to travel. And I totally understand that. And I respect that, no doubt about it. But I just have to say, now that I'm back from the events, going to the events was, again, going back into airports, which is not all that fun, and all the hustle and bustle of going through security. I certainly will never miss that. But being able to then meet with people again in person every day was such long events. So if I look a little tired today, it's because I just got back. 3-hour time change from the West Coast to the East Coast, because Arizona is 3 hours this time of the year, and every day was from 8 in the morning until 10 o'clock at night. And 10 o'clock at night, well, that's 1 o'clock in the morning East Coast time. So these were long days, but absolutely worth it. And again, like I said, to be able to spend time together with other humans and have that interaction, I think that's something that I didn't even know I was really missing to that degree until I started going to some of these events. So all that to say, if you get the opportunity to go out when you feel comfortable, again, it has to be when you feel ready, then I think it's worth it. I would take advantage of that. I would do it, even if it's just for a couple days or even a 1-day event like I did at another one just a couple weeks back. It's worth it for sure. It really is. And I believe that as humans, we are meant to connect. We are meant to exchange energy in person with one another, share a meal, and share ideas as well. And that's what a lot of this was about. So that's my update from the past couple weeks. That has been what's been going on. And so much so that I'm actually, again, I've decided that I'm going to hold a small event, not a big event, but a small event just for about 6 or so of our integrative health practitioners over the next month. So if you're an IHP, Stay tuned for that. It'll be posted in our private Facebook group, and I'm sure I will send out an email. All right. What's going on over at Equalife? Well, right now we are offering 30% off any of our individual labs. This has been essentially our biggest promotion on labs to date. And the reason is that we believe more than ever that with all the scammy and hypey labs and even nutritional supplements out there right now, we want to elevate to that next level. And so we're basically just telling people we use CLIA certified labs. And of course, all of our protocols, nutritional supplements are done through FDA certified facilities. Every single product as it comes, every ingredient as it comes into the custom manufacturers that we use 3 different ones. Every single one of them gets verified that it doesn't contain metals, it doesn't contain molds, contaminants. And then as the product leaves the manufacturer to our fulfillment house, it's all checked then to make sure that the proper dosage is where it says it is. So this takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of people in my team. It's also very expensive, but we believe that it is what we should be doing. And so that's what we do, right? Because my family uses these products themselves and of course these labs. But again, what I want to do is just say how, if possible, can we make this even more affordable for people? And that's what we want to do. So every once in a while, we're going to be able to do some great promotions. And that's what we do. We set aside a certain amount of labs. And so right now we're offering 30% off all individual labs for you or your family right on over at equi.life, EQUI.LIFE. Each one, as they say, is limited. So while supplies last, I have to say that because I never know when it's going to end. It is slated to go through this Sunday, but that doesn't mean every lab will be available at that 30% off. But if you want to take advantage of that, save 30%, head on over to equi.life, EQUI.LIFE. All right, recap for this week. I hope that you've been tuning in each day to the Cabral concept. I appreciate your support. I truly do. Whether it's on YouTube or you're watching or you're listening on iTunes or whatever your favorite player is, that's fantastic. We appreciate that. So, Motivation and Mindset Monday, that was episode 1928 this week, and that was using Benjamin Franklin's 5-hour rule. So every single week, Benjamin Franklin made sure that he dedicated 5 hours to his personal growth. I go through exactly how he did that, and you can do the same thing for 1 hour a day, each and every day, Monday through Friday. You can even take the weekends off. So that's over at 1928. On 1929, I try to do this every single year. You definitely want to tune in and download the Clean 15 and Dirty Dozen from 2021. The Environmental Working Group, just a great nonprofit organization, works really hard to get us information. And believe it or not, the fruits and veggies do change on a yearly basis as to which are worse and which ones are best. That was episode 1929. All of these can be found at stephencabral.com/podcasts. And on Wednesday, we did how to eat seasonally this spring. So we take advantage of local harvesting, and I give you the website to look at, as well as ancient Ayurvedic wisdom. All of this can help quite a bit for allergies and inflammation in the spring. And then yesterday's interview was with Aaron Alexander. I am going to be talking about his book right here in just a moment, The Align Method. Really, really great. So I can't wait to show you actually some of these photos and follow-alongs in this. He was our guest yesterday. We had a really fascinating conversation. I hope you're able to check that out. Aaron is into, personal training, rolfing, restructuring the human body, improving posture, improving strength, but doing it in a very natural way. So fun conversation, really interesting guy. And you can check that out. Yesterday's show was 1931. All right, so today, Friday Review, of course. Tomorrow, we have our weekend house calls where we answer your questions each and every weekend. So next up on our Friday Review, I want to go through Let's go through Aaron's book and then let's talk about that Apple Watch, which again, I'll tell you why I got it and what I'm using it for and how to use it safely without EMFs. So Aaron's book that I wanted to share with you is called The Align Method, 5 Movement Principles for a Stronger Body, Sharper Mind, and Stress-Proof Life. So the nice thing is this is a hardcover book, but not a big book. So it's an easy book to be able to read, understand, and go through, about 220 pages or so. And what we're really doing is looking at a lot of pictures throughout the book. So let me see if I can hold this up a little bit easier. And much of it having to do how to improve your flexibility, your mobility, your posture, and then how to keep that going throughout the day as you begin to stretch and open up the body. So he uses essentially a band, a resistance band, to get a lot of this flexibility. And way back in the day, 2001, this is something that we were taught, and I believe Aaron went through the same, that one of the best ways to stretch is not to hold a hard object like a doorway or something without give. Because if you stretch too far or too fast, you can actually hurt and damage some of those tendons or ligaments. So a nice way to be able to do it is actually to use a resistance band, one that with a little bit of strength to it, but also a little bit of give. So we used to use this device that looked like a big giant spider web at one of the facilities I was at. And so when you would stretch into it, the more you'd stretch, well, the more it would have a little bit of give. And so it was actually very kind on the joints. So when I say joints, I mean those ligaments and tendons. So again, I think it's a pretty easy book to follow along with. And if you're looking to improve your posture or your overall alignment, you can check out the Align Method with Aaron Alexander, and certainly check out our interview yesterday, which goes through quite a number of these topics. All right, now on for the Apple Watch review. So let me roll up the shirt sleeve here for a moment. So I've got it on. I'm going to, well, if I take it off, it will turn off. That's the interesting thing about the Apple Watch. Let me bring it up close to the video for you. And I know that wasn't the best demonstration, so if you're listening to this without the video, what we'll do is you can obviously go to stephencabral.com/1932 to see this. But what I want to do is I'm going to send up, actually on the page, so why don't we do that? At stephencabral.com/1932, and maybe right up here on the screen, we can show some of the displays of the Apple Watch. So we can actually show the 3 rings that I'm about to talk about. So this is going to be a 2-part review. It probably won't be next week, but it'll be in a couple weeks. I'll do part 2, which is on the biometrics of the Apple Watch. That's like the steps. We're talking about heart rate. We're talking about heart rate variability, your HRV. We'll talk a little bit about sleep. We'll talk about oxygen because it's measuring your oxygen. I'll let you know how that stacks up against other products, because you know that in terms of an oximeter, I use that. If you know that I use the Oura Ring. So I'll let you know how these stack up, because believe it or not, the Apple Watch is great in some areas for biometrics and not so great yet in others. And I want to share with you so that you're not getting the data and using it incorrectly, because the Apple Watch is not great for some forms of data. However, it is great for movement. That is where it seems to excel. But not only that, and that's why I wanted to bring this to you, because again, I was a little skeptical at first, like how can one device do all these different things? But here's what I was most impressed by. Like beyond the data, it is a great motivational tool. So if you look at the Fitbit is kind of in between. If you look at like an Oura Ring or something like that, there's no data necessarily that you're seeing unless you go into the app. And that's okay. Like, again, that's kind of nice. That's one of the reasons why I actually like the Oura Ring, is because it's not beeping. It's not reminding me of anything. It's just like, go about your day. However, by the end of the day, you might be like, whoa, how did I only end up at 3,000 steps? Well, you weren't actually looking at it. You weren't keeping pace during the day. So the one thing that I do love about the Apple Watch is that there are 3 rings. And again, we'll bring this up in a little photo over here. And the 3 rings are going to be a red ring, a green ring, and a blue ring. And they're very easy to look at. And let me see if I can hold this up here. I don't know if it's going to shut off, but let's just see if it does. Yes, it does. Okay. So the nice thing about the Apple Watch is that there is a lot of privacy to it. And so when you take it off, it does typically pop off. There you go. You can see those rings. This is earlier in the morning. So I have not gotten as much of my walking, but you can still see it. We're about 25, 30% of the way there. And that makes sense, yeah, because it's early in the morning. I haven't done my workout, my walks and all that yet. But here's the nice thing. It's telling me how much I have to go. And you get to set your activity for what you'd like. So for the red ring, which is my caloric burn for the day through movement, because remember, this is all about movement, I set it at 500 calories per day. And once the red ring closes, It means that I've done 500 calories of movement, which is really nice. That just, does it matter calorie-wise? No, but it means I was active, and that's what I'm looking for, right? So you can set yours at 200 calories, 250 calories, 500 calories, whatever you'd like, and it will track that. It will actually show you the number depending on the watch face, and you get to actually pick your watch face. And for me, it's all about movement and activity. I don't need any of the fancy hands or anything like that. On my watch face, I actually get to see a few different things, which I get to use my biofeedback. I'll talk about that in 1 second. My exercise, my heart rate, and it shows my activity throughout the day. So that's what I wanted this for. It's an activity tracker for me, right? And then, of course, obviously it has the time and the date. So the next ring, besides the red ring, which is caloric burn, again, everything's around movement. The second one is around exercise. You can set your exercise at 10 minutes a day, 20 minutes a day, 30 minutes a day, an hour a day, whatever you want. I set mine at 30 minutes of exercise per day. Now, it could be a planned 30-minute walk. It could be an actual workout in the gym. It could be cardio. It could be whatever you want. I mean, honestly, whatever you want, you try to get in 30 minutes a day. And you know, I'm a big believer in 150 minutes a week of exercise. That's really scientifically proven. Like, that's a solid amount now. You could do 45 minutes, 3 times a week or so, 3.5. You could do an hour, which is not ideal to do it like that. 3 times a week. But really what you're looking to do is say, hey, can I get 30 minutes of real movement in per day? Maybe it's like I've talked about before, weights one day, cardio one day, weights one day, maybe then it's a day off, then it's weights, cardio, however you want to do it. But it's a great way to say, am I getting my exercise in? Now, if it's a planned day off from your exercise, that's okay. But you can certainly still go for a walk. All right, and the last ring, which is the blue ring, was interesting to me, and I love this because it says, how many times per day, how many hours of the day do you want to stand? And so I said, that's interesting. I'm up for 16 hours a day. So I'm going to set it for 12. That means my blue ring won't close unless I've stood up at least for 1 minute for 12 hours of the day. So it's pretty interesting. So that allows me to simply be a little bit more active when I look at all these things. And I think that's pretty phenomenal. The last thing I'm going to give you, since it's not a data tracker right now that I'm talking about that, there's a blue button right in the middle. I put mine right in the middle, and it is for biofeedback for breathing. And it is this beautiful, almost like mandala that opens up when you breathe in, and then it closes when you exhale. And then you breathe in, and then you exhale. I'll see if I can show it to you right now on the watch. Again, if you want to watch this on video, you can obviously watch it on YouTube, and everyone else can check it out at stephencabral.com/1932, and you can't. Okay. So yeah, we'll hold up a photo of that as well. It's a beautiful blue, like I said, orb mandala that opens up as you breathe and exhale. And it's just for 1 minute. And so what I do is I try to do that at least, I wrote in there, 8 times per day. So half of my hours, I try to do a 1 minute breath session, which is biofeedback, that allows me to breathe in and then exhale. So it's a form of stress reduction. Okay, so breathe in and then exhale. Not quite box breathing, but very similar. And it allows me to bring down my heart rate. And then anytime I want, I can actually check my heart rate on the Apple Watch. So I'm going to go over, are the biometrics actually accurate in just a couple weeks? So hopefully this was helpful. I have to say, so far, I do enjoy it, but here's also why I enjoyed the Apple Watch. And I'm not in partnership with Apple. Obviously, I don't own any stock in Apple, anything like that. But if, again, I can't take it off right now, but you can see that it's in airplane mode. So I put my watch in airplane mode, and then I turn off Bluetooth on my phone, which means now there's no Wi-Fi going back and forth from my watch to my phone. There's no beeping updates. I don't get text messages on it. I don't get emails on it. Now, you can if you'd like to, but I choose not to do any of those and use this for fitness and time and date. That's about it. So hopefully that's helpful. Again, that's how I use it, and without the EMFs. Will I use this forever? I don't know, but I told myself I'd give it a good 4 to 6 weeks to use it, and then of course I can choose from there. And we'll talk more about that and part 2 coming up in just a couple weeks. All right, 2 quick research studies for you right now. And in terms of research, this was, I have to say, I have two protective ones today, 2 buyer beware. All right, so it says, beware of new genetic testing scams. And this is by federal investigators. There are a lot of companies popping up that are asking you to do a DNA test with them, sometimes even for super low costs. We always have to be careful what companies we're working with if they're not a doctor-based functional medicine company. So a lot of these, again, I'm not going to name names because I just don't do that. But what they do is you're sending in a little bit of a cheek swab or saliva, and then they are actually using your DNA and your identity because you're filling out an online form or you're filling it out with the actual mail-in, and they're ending up scamming Medicare and other organizations with your data for, on average, between $6,000 and $11,000. Plus, they have your DNA and your information that could be used in the future. So I just want you to be careful. I'm an advocate of DNA testing, but I really only believe that you should run lab testing through a doctor or a organization that is reputable using CLIA certified labs and also under an organization that you trust. Like, you should know who the doctor is running these labs. Okay. And I should say running the company. So just a little buyer beware. Be careful with these genetic tests. I just don't want you to take advantage of. And a lot of these big companies, like we know with 23andMe, they ended up selling all of the data to a pharmaceutical agency, which is or a company, which again, you know that I'm not a huge advocate of that either. Selling of data is not ideal. All right, your personal data. Now, the next one is this. I've talked about this before, inflammatory foods, the most carcinogenic foods, but a lot of people just, believed it was smoked meat only, like bacon or deli meat. And although those are carcinogenic, there's no doubt about it. Again, we've known this for 20 years. I was giving this study 20 years ago to clients from the Mayo Clinic saying like, hey, listen, I know bacon can be tasty. However, try to limit it. Try only every once in a while because it is carcinogenic. Whenever you smoke something, it's smoke, and smoke is a carcinogen that can cause cancer. So now we're also seeing it in fish. So a lot of people say, I'm going to eat more fish. There's more omega-3s, even if it's wild. Even if it's wild, you don't want it smoked. And that's because the American Institute for Cancer Research shows that smoked and cured fish are in the same category as processed meat, which raises your risks for cancer. Scientists actually say that anytime, and this was published in New York Times, well documented, anytime you're taking in more carcinogens, your chance for cancer goes up. Do you automatically get cancer? No, but your chances do go up. So I just wanted to share that with you. Again, this is what I try to live by in my own life and with my family. And so if I could pass it on to you and it could help, then that's what I'm choosing to do. So thank you so much for tuning into today's show. My time is up. I'll be back tomorrow answering your questions on our Cabral House Calls. Take care. Have an amazing weekend.